The 80-20 Principle, A Story of Less is More. Inspired by Richard Koch's book. Chapter 1, The Discovery. Arjun was an ambitious 30-year-old software engineer in Bangalore. He worked late nights, juggled multiple projects, and barely saw his family. Despite working so hard, his savings were low, his promotions slow, and burnout knocking at his door. One evening, during a business conference in Goa, Arjun attended a talk where the speaker mentioned something curious. 80% of results come from just 20% of the effort. The audience chuckled, but the speaker smiled and said, "This isn't a joke. It's the 80-20 principle. And it changed my life." Intrigued, Arjun noted the speaker's reference, the 80-20 principle by Richard Koch. On his way back, he downloaded the book. Chapter 2, Pareto's Secret. As Arjun read, he learned the origin of this principle. In the late 1800s, Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto observed that 80% of Italy's land was owned by just 20% of the population. This pattern wasn't unique. Over time, the 80-20 rule showed up in economics, business, health, even personal productivity. Koch explained that this principle was not just a statistical quirk, it was a natural imbalance in the world. In most systems, 80% of sales come from 20% of customers. 80% of complaints come from 20% of clients. 80% of happiness comes from 20% of our relationships. Arjun sat up straight. Could it really be that he was wasting 80% of his energy on things that barely mattered? Chapter 3, The Wake-Up Call. Determined to experiment, Arjun audited his week. He listed everything: emails, meetings, projects, workouts, and time with friends. Then he rated each by impact or joy. The results were shocking. 80% of his progress at work came from just 2 projects. 80% of his stress came from just 1 colleague. 80% of his happiness came from weekend walks with his wife and daughter. He realized he'd been overvaluing busyness and undervaluing results. Chapter 4, The Steve Jobs Example. Arjun remembered reading that Steve Jobs, after returning to Apple in 1997, slashed the product line from over 350 to just 10. That focus saved the company. Jobs understood the 80-20 rule intuitively. Instead of doing everything, he focused only on the top 20% that would deliver 80% of value. This gave Arjun confidence. Less really could be more. Chapter 5, Applying the Principle at Work. Back at the office, Arjun started applying the principle. He politely declined low-impact meetings. He delegated minor bug fixes to juniors. He doubled down on the 2 projects that had high visibility and revenue impact. In 3 months, he delivered major breakthroughs on those projects. His manager noticed. Arjun got promoted and even received a bonus. He was working fewer hours, but getting better results. Chapter 6, The Amazon Example. Koch's book shared the story of Jeff Bezos. In Amazon's early days, 80% of profits came from just 20% of customers, repeat buyers. Bezos didn't focus on chasing everyone. Instead, he invested in Prime, a loyalty program targeting his best 20%. That move transformed Amazon from an online bookstore to the world's shopping hub. Arjun thought, "Who are my 20%? He realized his best coding ideas came when he was relaxed and undistracted. He began protecting his deep-focused time like a treasure. Chapter 7, The Elimination Game. Arjun got bolder. Inspired by Koch's advice, he made a don't-do list. He quit his side hustle that brought in more stress than cash. He unsubscribed from 90% of emails. He stopped responding instantly on Slack. He recalled how Warren Buffett once said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." Soon, Arjun had time to breathe, learn, and innovate. People started asking him, "How do you get so much done and still look so calm?" Chapter 8. The 80-20 Life. Arjun didn't stop at work. He took 80-20ths into every part of life. In health, he focused on the 20% of activities, sleep, walking, and clean meals, that gave him 80% of benefits. In relationships, he invested in 20% of people who gave him most joy. In money, he automated savings and only tracked the top few expenses that drained his wallet. He realized that most people try to fix everything. But the 80-20 thinker? They fix the right things. Chapter 9. When 80-20 Goes Wrong. One day, Arjun's cousin Sneha called. She had tried applying 80-20 to her boutique clothing business and failed. She cut her product line, but lost loyal customers. She fired staff without understanding customer experience. Arjun explained what Koch warned in his book. 80-20 is not about doing less blindly, it's about doing the right less. He helped Sneha identify her real 20%, the top-selling outfits and loyal repeat buyers. She rebuilt her business, smaller but more profitable. Chapter 10. From Engineer to Entrepreneur. With time, Arjun grew more confident in decision-making. He quit his job to start a software tools company. Applying the 80-20 principle, he built one killer feature instead of 20. He chose one target audience, freelancers. He did one thing a day that really mattered. In a year, he was earning more, working less, and mentoring others. Chapter 11. The Power of Focus, Google's Example. Koch's book also cited Google. The search engine's power came from doing one thing better than anyone else, delivering fast, relevant results. While other companies tried to be everything, Google mastered one 20% task and built an empire. Arjun kept that lesson close. When in doubt, he told his team, go back to the core 20%. Chapter 12. Teaching the Principle. Arjun's daughter, now 10, once asked, "Why do you say no to so many things?" He smiled. "Because saying no to 80 things gives me time to say yes to the 20 things that matter most, like you." She nodded, hugged him, and said, "Then can we go for our walk now?" He closed his laptop. "Yes." Chapter 13. The Final Reflection. Years passed. Arjun's company grew. He wrote blogs and gave talks about the 80-20 mindset. He would always end with this. The 80-20 principle isn't just a productivity hack. It's a way of thinking. A lens. A way to see through noise and focus on what counts. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And like Koch said in his book, progress doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing less, but better. Final words. Now it's your turn. Look around your life. What are the 20% activities bringing you 80% joy, results, income, or peace? And what's the rest? Once you know, do more of the first, and let go of the rest. That's not just productivity. That's freedom.